Slip follows May Cannon, who is in a long-term relationship that totally works, but she's feeling restless inside of it, and she ends up cheating on her husband one night and wakes up the next morning to realize that she's now married to the dude that she cheated on her husband with. And over the course of the series, she learns that through orgasm, she's being transported into a multiverse and inhabiting all of her parallel lives and relationships. Slip premieres on April 21st on Roku, and we're having our premiere at South by on Thursday the 16th. Well, I wrote the series in quarantine, so I think, like many of us, like a lot of sort of larger existential questions were coming into hyperfocus. Um, around like what our lives look like, what we want them to look like, um, the relationships we want to be in, the relationships we want to prioritize. And I think there was also a sort of nostalgic quality to quarantine in which we were looking back at our pasts and the paths we might have chosen or not chosen and how those choices impacted our current state of happiness or lack thereof. And so I think those questions all birthed Slip for me, which is really an exploration of, um, yeah, sexuality and intimacy and relationships and how we deal with um, our sort of consistent sense of insatiability in this modern world. May is an associate curator at an art museum, and she's curated an exhibit on the Hungry Ghost, which is a Buddhist archetype um, that tends to allegorically be like connected to addiction, but again, sort of speaks thematically to this sense of restlessness and hunger in life for something more. Um, and so yeah, when we meet her, she's opening this exhibit at the museum and in a long-term marriage. Um, and she's a foster kid. She was raised in foster care. So the idea of family and home is sort of nebulous to her. And so the journey that she goes on is really, um, I think, thematically about her finding home, ultimately in herself, but she spends a lot of time looking for homes in other people and literally jumping from home to home through universe to universe. May is sort of fish out of water in every universe, but she's um, being thrown into very different versions of herself. So she's playing a game of catch up to sort of meet herself where she's landing. So in one world, she's the wife of a rock star with living a really lavish, sort of drug addled partying existence. Another, she's queer and has a kid and is leading a very domesticated life with her partner. Another, she's with a businessman and sort of yeah, living in a very stark existence. So yeah, she gets to try on a lot of different roles, which I think we tend to do in real life, but this is just sort of taking that to its extreme. Well, I guess the questions that the series asks are quite universal, even though it's a very personal narrative for me. And so I hope that people watching the series might feel less alone in asking questions around how to sort of live in the moment and feel at home within oneself and taking risks to step outside of scenarios or relationships that might not be serving you. So yeah, I hope that it sparks questions and also is just like a fun, fantastical escape for people to go on.